Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, the International Court of Justice orders Uganda to pay millions in reparations to DR Congo over its role in conflict in the eastern Congolese province of Ituri in the late 90s. Also, relief workers struggle to help those caught up in the aftermath of Cyclone Batsirai. It hit Madagascar hard over the weekend, and days later, the death toll continues to rise. And the urgent need to protect the high seas and the marine life that live within them is the focus of the One Ocean Summit here in France. We head to Senegal, where fishermen are already struggling with depleted stock from overfishing. But first, Uganda's been ordered to pay the Democratic Republic of Congo $325 million in reparations. The International Court of Justice awarded the sum over Uganda's bloody occupation of parts of the eastern Congolese province of Ituri from 1998 to 2003. Some living in Ituri today say that they're glad of the order, but that it doesn't go far enough.
We welcome this justice. These are things that we can applaud because the Ugandans are aware that they have stolen our goods.
It's a reason for pride for us, because this condemnation dissuades any other state from carrying out military activities on another independent state without its agreement. But there's dismay because the amount Uganda was ordered to pay, $325 million, is a very small amount.
Well, Clément Bonero tells us more from Kinshasa.
The sum awarded this Wednesday is a far cry from the $11 billion the DRC had demanded in compensation for crimes committed on its soil by Ugandan troops in the late 1990s and early 2000s. The court broke down the reparations into three categories of damages. $225 million for loss of life and damage to persons, which includes rape, conscription of child soldiers, and the displacement of up to 500,000 people. $40 million will be awarded in compensation for property damage, and $60 million for damage to natural resources, which includes the plundering of minerals, coffee and timber by Ugandan troops and rebel groups they supported. The ruling brings an end to Kinshasa's 23-year legal battle against Kampala. DR Congo first brought the case before the court in 1999, and in 2005 the ICJ found Kampala guilty of illegally invading the DRC during the Second Congo War and of committing gross human rights violations as well as war crimes. Uganda was ordered to pay reparations, but the two countries failed to reach an agreement. Now, it's worth remembering that Uganda is not the only country to be accused of war crimes in DR Congo. Rwanda also invaded the country's eastern provinces, but it was never prosecuted because Kigali does not recognize the ICJ's jurisdiction.
Clément Bonero there for us. Now, an important meeting that could help shape the future of the planet began in northwestern France on Wednesday. Key scientific, political and entrepreneurial voices headed to the city of Brest for the One Ocean event, which is spotlighting the urgent need to protect international waters and marine life. Some species have been fished to the edge of extinction, and the high seas themselves are too often used as a dumping ground. The sustainability of the use of the world's waters is a particularly urgent issue for fishing communities. In Senegal, small-scale fishermen are facing depleted stock because of industrial overfishing by large foreign trawlers. Our team reports.
They've always been part of the landscape, but today the artisanal fishermen of Mbour, one of the largest ports in the country, face an uncertain future. 36-year-old Ibrahima is on his way home, and as is often the case, fishing didn't go well.
I only caught this today. Before, at 7 to 8 kilometers from the coast, we had a lot of fish. Today, even if we go 30 kilometers away, we catch almost nothing. Fishing is no longer profitable.
Industrial overfishing has taken its toll. The fishermen of Mbour accuse large foreign trawlers of emptying the sea of fish stocks. Some say they've no choice but to abandon the trade. Pap is killing time with a few friends or former fishermen like him.
We sold the sea to foreign boats. They leave us crumbs. The only solution left for us, who know the ocean well, is to try to cross to Europe.
Abdoulaye Ndiaye knows the distress of the men of Mbour well. This former fisherman works closely with the local communities. Today he calls on the authorities to ensure fisheries are sustainably managed.
Look at those boxes. Film this. Look at those boxes. If there were fish, those boxes would be full. These boats are scraping the seabed and depriving millions of people of food. We must remember it's artisanal fishing that feeds the Senegalese people in non-coastal regions and also neighboring countries like Benin, Burkina, Mali, and others.
Fishermen aren't the only ones concerned by the depletion of fish resources. Fishmongers and women who sell and process fish are also collateral victims. In Senegal, according to official figures, 20% of the population lives directly or indirectly from the fishing industry.
Well, Madagascar's death toll from Cyclone Batsirai has risen to 92. 60 of the victims were from the same district in the southeast. Now, Batsirai slammed into the island over the weekend, and by the time it moved on late Sunday, the homes of over 91,000 people were destroyed or damaged. It was the second devastating storm Madagascar has faced in just 2 weeks after Hurricane Anna killed 55 people and displaced over 130,000 further north in the country. Now, relief workers are still racing to tackle the fallout from the extreme weather, and there are fears that the death toll may still rise. I'm joined now by Carla Fajado, who's in Madagascar for the Catholic Relief Services. Carla, thanks for speaking to us. Now, do you feel that you've so far established the full picture of Batsirai's impact?
Thank you, Georgia. We don't know the full scope yet. Numbers keep changing as more information arrives. You know, Madagascar is a country prone to recurring natural disasters, but 2 storms and an ongoing drought have stretched the system. The cyclone has affected about 10 regions in the country, and that's a lot of ground to cover. Roads have been badly damaged and have made very difficult to gather information and get emergency supplies to affected areas. There are locations that are still underwater. There are locations where water is still rising and areas that are still in red alert. So some communities are so isolated that are hard to reach. But at this point, though, we have enough information to know that the damage has been substantial and a lot of support will be needed to rebuild infrastructure and support people in need.
So you've described the just how many of emergencies that this disaster has caused. So you're working on a number of fronts. What has your team, in terms of its response, been prioritizing?
Well, the greatest damage has been homes, infrastructure like hospitals, schools, and roads, as well as farmland. So in the short term, we're providing hot meals and shelter to people displaced by the cyclone. We are also finalizing assessments to understand the scale and the scope of need and coordinating with the government and other organizations to move aid materials like tarps for temporary shelter, food items, building materials, and hygiene items like soap and clean waters to communities. But the need is great. We cannot reach enough people except if additional funds come in. You know, more than 75% of people in affected areas are subsistence farmers. So for the long term, we're going to support farmers providing tools, seeds, and training to help them recover from agricultural losses and find ways for them to earn money that provide income. The scale of support for the recovery is enormous, but people in Madagascar are resilient and they recover and rise up again and again.
Why do you think that Madagascar was quite so badly affected by Batsirai?
Well, storms or cyclones are cyclical phenomenon in Madagascar. However, climate change has led to increased cyclones in the east, in the north, and in the central parts, and then severe droughts in the south. The trajectories of the cyclones have also changed. We notice that cyclones are hitting areas of the country that historically were not touched before or were not affected by cyclones. Climate change, however, is not the only culprit. The level of deforestation in Madagascar is very high, resulting in significant damage from flooding from each cycle season. So there is an urgent need to focus on landscape restoration and better use of natural resources to protect the flora and the fauna, but also to protect communities from the fury of the cyclone season.
Thank you very much. Carla Fajardo, they're speaking to us from Madagascar. Well, in a few months' time, the European Space Shuttle Ariane 5 is due to head out with a very special payload. It'll be launching a geostationary weather satellite into orbit over Africa to monitor climate changes on the continent. Now, the historic moment will also see the shuttle covered in a specially created work of art commissioned from African artists. Emma Lopez tells us more.
In the world of contemporary art, Congolese artist Michel Ekeba is known for his Afrofuturist performances. The Kinshasa-born artist wears spacesuits made from recycled waste. Géraldine Tobe is another emblematic figure on the Congolese art scene. Her work often uses silhouettes created from black smoke to represent the volatile fragility of mental health. Cameroonian painter Jean-David Nott is known for his dynamic portraits that play with contour lines and raise questions about migration and our connection to place.
It's fantastic, when you can marry ideas with the visceral and create something that is so deep and meaningful and also futuristic.
The three artists created their pieces during a residency in Ouidah, Benin, and worked together to combine their techniques.
All three of us had to work on a single surface, not do three different pieces. Our three artistic approaches had to become one. It was not easy.
Global warming is a central theme.
We realized that observing meteorological changes was a crucial element to imagining the future of Africa. The idea was that the first object to leave with a new weather observation satellite for Africa would be a work of art.
The creations will soon be launched on the Ariane 5 shuttle, propelling the vision of some of the continent's hopes for the future into the stratosphere.
Well, that's it from Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us, and do so again. Take care.
In the past few days, tensions have flared in Mali. Anti-French sentiment and increasing Russian influence are stirring up feelings. This against a backdrop of nationalism and Pan-Africanism promoted by the military junta. Countries in the Sahel are tempted to follow the so-called Mali Way path, made of coup d'etat and populism, at a critical time for French military engagement in the region.
La Chine va travailler dans le sens de rapprocher le Mali et le CEDEAO.
Watch Reporters, Mali, the Russian Path, on France 24 and France24.com.